Today I'm knitting with Marta the Merino, which is a super delicious fine merino yarn. It's a bulky weight 1-ply, and you can get this yarn from sheepandstitch.com. All right, enough fondling. Now let's talk about how to untwist our twisted stitches. So twisted stitches usually happen in your work when you've dropped some stitches like this, and you're kind of freaked out and you cram all of your stitches back onto your needle. You're like, please don't drop further. And you just cram all the stitches back on your needle and you're like, whew, phew, okay, they're back on the needle, and you start to knit. But then you notice that when you go into the next stitch, there's a bit of resistance. It's not really going in very smoothly, and you knit into it anyway. And then you look at your stitch and you go, something looks kind of funny there. This stitch doesn't look like the rest of the stitches on my needle. What's going on? Now, what's happened is that you have twisted your stitches. So let's take this stitch that we just knit back off. And in order to understand what a twisted stitch is, we need to look at the anatomy of a knit stitch. So a knit stitch is basically a loop, right? And if we break down our loop even further, you can see that there's a right side to the loop and a left side to the loop, right? This area is the right side of the loop because it's on the right side. And this area is the left side of our loop because it's on the left side, right? Pretty easy. So for this example, I'm going to call the right side of our loop the right leg, and the left side of our loop the left leg. Okay, so in order to knit, we need to put the stitch on our needle, right? So there's two ways that we can do this. We can put our stitch on the needle so that the right leg is in the front. So take a look at our right leg. I'm going to put it on our needle. So now our right leg is in the front. Right? Now the other way we can put our stitch on the needle is so that the left leg is in the front. Okay, so let's do that. Here we go. So now our left leg of our stitch is in front. Okay, so if you ever get confused, you can just take your stitch off the needle and just take a look at it, right? Right leg, left leg. So those are two ways that you can place your stitch on the needle. Now, one way results in a good untwisted stitch, and one way results in a twisted stitch. So try and guess which leg should be in front in order to have an untwisted stitch. And you can write that down in the comments, and I will reveal to you in 3, 2, 1. All right, so when your right leg is in the front, like this, your stitch is untwisted. It is good to go. It is the way it should be. Okay, when your left leg is in the front, so let's take a look again. This is our left leg. When our left leg is in the front like this, and our right leg is in the back, our stitch is twisted. Okay, so your right leg should always be in the front. Okay, so that's an easy way to identify whether your stitch is twisted. Take a look at the leg. Is the right leg in the front? If it is, like this, then you know that your stitch is good to go and you can knit it right away. If your left leg is in the front, here's our left leg, okay, it's in the front of the needle like this, then you know your stitch is twisted and you have to untwist it. All right, so next let's talk about how to untwist your twisted stitch. So here I've made a twisted stitch on my left needle, and one way that you can untwist it, if you're kind of tactile and you like holding your stitches, you can use your fingers and just grab that stitch, grab that twisted stitch, pull it off your needle, turn it around, and place it right back on your needle. So now you can see that the right leg is up front. So that's one way you can do it. The way that I do it, let me twist this guy here, is once I see that my stitch is twisted, I'll just take my right needle and pick it up like this, and then use my left needle and pick it up from the front to the back like this. And now I've just untwisted my stitch. Now, one other way that you can do this is a really ninja way, is once you notice your stitch is twisted like this, you can knit into the back of that stitch. So normally we would knit into the front, right? We go from the bottom to the top, but if your stitch is twisted, you can go from the back. Okay, so push into the back of that stitch and then knit it. And this is a super ninja move because not only are you untwisting your stitch, but you're also knitting it as well, all in one go. So you're killing two birds with one stone. It's a very efficient way of doing things. All right, so now you know how to recognize your twisted stitch and also how to untwist it. So just a little tip, you can use the same technique on purl stitches as well. So I just wanted to give you a comparison of knit stitches that have been knit properly versus knit stitches that have been twisted. So you can see over here on the left, I've got some stockinette stitch that's surrounded by a garter stitch border. And you can see it's just a sea of knit stitches, and they're sitting nice and flat, nice and smooth. And over here, I've got some twisted stitches. So all of the knit stitches here have been twisted and then knit. They have not been untwisted. The twisted stitches really do look very twisted. They've got a lot of texture, and it's not quite as smooth and flat as stockinette stitch. It's also not as stretchy and a lot more dense. You can see that the stockinette stitch is much more stretchy and it sits flat really nicely. Alright, so now you have a better understanding of twisted versus untwisted stitches. Thank you so much for watching. If this video helped you out, then consider subscribing to this channel for more knitting tips and tutorials. And hey, visit sheepandstitch.com to drool over yummy yarn, knitting kits, and our ever-popular pattern tutorials. Okay, that's it for me. I'm Davina of sheepandstitch.com. Have a great day and happy knitting!